you're looking for positivity or looking for encouragement, to me a Princeton aims to educate you, to give you the push to believe, to have the mindset for success, mindset for success, to have the mindset for success, to have the mindset for success.
All right, all right. Welcome to the Mindset for Success show. I'm Tamia Brinson, your host, and today we have a very special guest. We have Dr. Cree with us today, and she is a board certified family medicine physician in Birmingham, Alabama, and you guys should know her. She's been on the show before, but she's back to give us an update. But not only does she have her practice, but she has her own line of vitamins and supplements. Okay. So Dr. Cree is with us. And again, this is one of the most physicians that I look up to because not only is she her local media, her local community, but she's basically all over, guys. Okay. So Dr. Cree, welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you, Tamia, for having me back. I'm so happy to be back. Looks like you're doing well and looking good. To God be the glory. So thank you for having me on the show again.
Amen. Amen. Well, the name of the show is Mindset for Success. So we're here to help people today and get their mind elevated. And today, to get their mind, focus on health and having a successful, healthy life.
Yes.
So we went ahead and put out feelers to the audience and just to get questions for Dr. Cree. So a lot of them came in. So I just want to get right into it because I want to try to get as many. I know we probably won't get all of them, but
Mhm.
I want to try to get as many as possible. And Dr. Cree, I know I sent you a list with the names, but I
Mhm.
got some feedback, so I'm gonna just have them anonymous. I'm not gonna mention the names,
Okay,
okay?
sounds good. Because
Okay.
probably more than one person has that same question. I just want to
Right.
reiterate, guys, that I am a board certified family medicine physician. I've been practicing medicine for about 10 years. I've been doing a lot of research in the COVID-19 realm, and hey, it's science. So, one thing I want you to take away from today is that science changes, right? They're not lying to you. When you get one thing one day, and 2 weeks later there's something new that's added, it wasn't a lie the first time. Science changes. If you remember when you were about the third grade or the fourth grade, Tamia, we learned about something called the scientific method. We made our hypothesis, we made our points, and then we went and checked back to see if our hypothesis really worked based off of testing. So we're in a real life science project, guys, and so the science changes. So what we were doing
Mhm.
last year may be null and void. So I'm happy that I'm back so that we can talk about what's new for today. So we can only talk about what's new for today.
Right, right. Okay. So our first question, it says one of the viewers asked, "Does COVID-19 boosters last for a lifetime?"
So no, COVID. I don't think that COVID-19 boosters will last a lifetime. Let's step back. Remember, COVID-19 is a virus, guys. Just like your flu, is a virus. So how we are we're giving flu shots every year. Um, I think that's what we're gonna be with COVID boosters. So I think it's gonna be a once a year shot that even may be a combined COVID and flu shot, and the scientists will do some projections just as they do with the flu. So what we get with the flu shot every year is not the exact same shot, right? So
Right.
we have, they say this is going to likely be the most prominent flu virus for this season, and we get that. I think that's where we're going to be as we continue to learn more and more about the different strands, the different variants of COVID-19, I think that every year we'll be getting a different one. So before they ask the next question to me, let me add that it's ever changing, right? We're still
Mhm.
learning, we're still adding to that. So right now the shots that we have are the same shots that we got last year, right? Because we're learning. So as we
Mhm.
get to learn more, we will say, okay, well, maybe we need to cover the Delta strain. Maybe we need to cover this one, and then we'll have more protection. But I think that until we get more people, we get closer to herd immunity, where that's
Yeah.
where we have so many people getting the vaccine that you can choose to not get it. That's why you can choose and say, oh, I don't get the flu shot, because enough people around you have had the flu shot over and over and over again
Right.
that it protects you, that you can say, I don't have to do it. But we're not there yet with COVID.
Okay. Wow. So almost about like the flu. That leads into the next question from another viewer, and she said, "I have taken the Pfizer vaccine in February. Okay,
Mhm.
I haven't taken the booster. Should I get revaccinated in February like I do for my flu shot every year? Or is the booster sufficient to take every year? Or do we need to boost or get revaccinated every year like the flu shot?" I think you were just talking about that.
We kind of was talking about that, but the current recommendation, caller, is that you're supposed to get the COVID booster 6 months after having your second dose. If you had Moderna or if you had Pfizer, if you had Johnson and Johnson, you needed your booster 2 months after having your shot, right? So
Okay.
I would recommend, because now we're getting ready to come into the colder seasons. We're going into where people are going to be gathering a lot more, the holidays and all of that. I would recommend not really waiting to February, especially if you have some kind of underlying condition. If you have high
Right.
blood pressure, diabetes, obesity, kidney disease, any of those things that's so prevalent in the African American community, I suggest that you go ahead on and get your booster. You can go to your local pharmacy, it's readily available there, and go ahead on and get it. And then from there, we'll wait on the next recommendation from the
Mm.
FDA, from the CDC, on when we will continue to boost or not, and how often.
Wow. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So the next question is, this one came from one of our bishops. Is it possible to get COVID when with the vaccine? Like if you're already been vaccinated, fully vaccinated, is it possible to still get COVID?
Bishop, I'm happy that you asked this question. Yes, it is. You are looking at somebody that had COVID post getting vaccine.
Wow.
I was vaccinated in December of 2020. I got my first shot. I got my second shot in January. Of the end of August, my husband has high risk issues, so he went and got his vaccine on like a Thursday. He had an event Friday, Saturday, Sunday. About Tuesday, he started coughing. I was like, we ain't coughed in a year. What's going on with you?
Yeah.
Oh, nothing. The weather's changing. So after a couple of days, I noticed he had a rash on his leg, and I checked his test, and sure enough, he had COVID,
Oh,
and I had COVID. Our daughter, who's 7, she did not get it. My parents, who live with us, who are over the age of 55, they did not get it. They're all vaccinated. We have very, very, very mild illness. Now you're talking about
hmm.
somebody with high blood pressure, diabetes, sleep apnea. My husband only had a cough. He had a little bit of a runny nose. And he had that rash. He lost his sense of smell for maybe 2 or 3 days.
Okay.
No, I didn't see any questions about this, Tamia, but let me interject this. We got what was called the monoclonal antibodies the same
Yes.
day that we were positive. So I think that that helped to speed up our recovery. That is an IV or injection that you can get with antibodies to help you fight off the infection faster. So I think that between being vaccinated and the antibodies and the good Lord just being so gracious to us, that we were able to recover pretty fast. We were
Hmm.
sick maybe 5 or 6 days. I saw patients from the bed. They just took the camera into the room with them, and I, whatever. And then he was negative on day 9, and I was on day 10, and I was negative on day 9. So
Okay.
I can't get my booster now, guys, until 90 days after I was given those antibodies. So I can't get my booster until December. So when it's time, I will
Okay.
be getting my booster then. So yes, Bishop, you can get it post vaccine. However, the goal of the vaccine is to get mild disease. Is to, if you end up in the hospital, maybe get a little oxygen, maybe get the antibodies there
Mhm.
for 24, 48 hours, gone on home. We're trying to be prevented from being on a ventilator, having long hauler syndrome. That's what we want to prevent.
Exactly, exactly. And yeah, I didn't know you was gonna mention the antibody treatment. How do
That's
you say it?
important. Monoclonal antibodies. So they're there.
Monoclonal.
And I suggest that your viewers go ahead on and look up and see where the site, I'm sure you have people watching from everywhere. In your
Mhm.
state, go ahead on and look and see where are the monoclonal antibody sites. Because in Birmingham, there's not that many. And so therefore going into the holidays, if you're positive, because you do have to show proof of positive, you can't get the antibodies if you've been exposed and just like, oh, I want to be taken care of. You have to show them proof of your positive test
Okay.
for them to give it to you. And you sit there for an hour. We had no side effects from it. Nausea is the biggest side effect that you can usually have from it. And you go
Mhm.
from there. So know where those places are. Any event that you get sick, that your family gets sick, that someone is visiting you for the holidays and they get ill. That way you can know we have a plan. So
Mhm. Yeah, I know quite a few people actually. Yeah, I mean, about 5 people I know that got vaccinated, but then they got COVID later. I mean, it was
hmm
just like last month, but they got that monoclonal
hmm
antibody treatment 2 days,
Yep,
and they
so
up
much
in a
better, so much
yeah.
better. So I was at about 7 months. We were right at about 7 months. So to the viewer that said, "Hey, I got vaccinated in February," you're well past that. 6, 7 months time. Go ahead on and get it, and hopefully that will prevent you from being like us and missing 14 days of work, even if you
Right.
even if you feel okay, you
Exactly.
can't go back.
Right. Okay. So our next question from a viewer, she said, why aren't those with medical conditions unable to choose the vaccine, not being given any alternative instructions? For example, she says it's either you get the shot or nothing. So is there any kind of, supplement or anything, any kind of treatment that they can do for the ones who can't get the vaccines? I guess the people who are, have
High
some kind of
risk or something like
condition.
that. So
Yeah.
I only know a couple of conditions at this point where you cannot get the vaccine. I have some friends who have MS and they've waited. They have rheumatoid arthritis, they're on certain
Mm.
medications and they time it differently. Or if you've had an illness called Guillain-Barré syndrome, where after vaccine you had like this kind of paralyzing paralysis that worked its way up your body kind of thing. So it's very, very few illnesses at this point that they're saying you absolutely cannot get it. But right now, those are options. You can boost your immune system. We're on our way from this being, to me, from a pandemic to an endemic. So
Right.
endemic means if not now, then when. So
Yeah.
eventually it's going to touch everybody. It's in a family of a common cold. Look how often we get colds. I mean, colds come and go. They don't hurt us. You don't even know you had a cold. Oh, was that allergies? Was that a cold? So as this works its way to being an endemic, if not now, then when? We want to be protected. And as of right now, if you decide not to get vaccinated, you can get the monoclonal antibodies. That is the only treatment that's there at this point.
So what about the people who have like low immune system? Can they still get the
So yes.
vaccine?
So my dad has leukemia and he was one of the ones that had to be boosted. So if you have a low immune system, you just may have to get the vaccine at more of an interval. So we're just waiting to hear from that. So but you, if you have a lower immune system, you're at higher risk for getting the COVID, right? So we need to make sure that because we don't know if you've had enough of a response yet. Just think yesterday they buried Colin Powell. Colin Powell had his vaccines, but Colin Powell had a weakened immune system because he had multiple myeloma. And in him having that multiple myeloma, his body didn't mount the immune response that mine would, or maybe that yours would. So therefore, you need to, especially if you have a weakened immune system, if you have cancer, you've had HIV, you have diabetes, COPD,
Right.
give your body that fighting chance to say, I want to recognize this. So as soon as my body saw it, it started to fight faster because it wasn't a stranger to COVID-19.
Wow, that is amazing. Wow. Okay. So our next question is, why aren't those who had that let me see if I can read this right now. Why aren't those who had COVID and
Mhm.
have a natural immunity being discussed? For example, if they're, they go through COVID without being vaccinated, but they have natural immunity. First of all, how long does that last for that
That's a good
natural
question. That's
immunity?
what I just was about to say. It is being discussed. So that is something that they're watching, they're studying. Natural immunity lasts at most 90 days. 90 days. So at most 90 days, and oftentimes that's why they say wait for the 90 days to get your vaccine if
Mhm.
you've had COVID. So, and then so the best immunity that's out there is what's called a hybrid immunity, HYBRID. That's the person who's had natural immunity and the person who's had vaccine immunity. So those two together, they've done really well with the Delta variant. They've done really well with the new strands that we've seen
Mhm.
because you've seen the natural illness and you've seen the genomic sequence of the mRNA of Pfizer or Moderna. So you've seen it in two different ways. So when your body's introduced to it again, your body's like, oh, it's not going to take me 10 days to respond to this beast. I've known it, I've seen it in several different ways. So, hey, maybe let's sneeze a little bit. Maybe let's have a runny nose a little bit. It's not going to knock you down to that effect. So,
Right.
natural immunity is being talked about. It does not last long. That's what's the bad thing
Oh,
about this
okay.
illness. It does not last. It's novel. It's new. Natural
Hmm.
immunity isn't lasting. Like if you get the flu, you may be like, oh, I'm good for the rest of flu season until the next new strain of flu come in.
Right.
But COVID-19 isn't like that.
So 90, so that's roughly 3 months.
3 months. So that's why
Oh,
I
I'm
can't
so
get my
glad
shot
you
until
said that,
90
because I
days.
know a lot of people think like what I'm thinking. If you get it and you naturally go through it, you have the antibodies already.
Nope.
I'm thinking you're good, like the vaccine for like at least 6 months.
3 months. You're good for 90. You're
Wow.
good for at most 90 days. And I have seen some people 60 days out. Like okay, I got it again because we all
What?
thinking we got our superpowers for 90 days. We're gonna enjoy ourselves. We're gonna enjoy ourselves in these, in these 90 days
Mhm.
right here. However, it just depends on how your body responds to the vaccine, how your body responds to the not the vaccine, how your body responds to the illness in itself.
Right.
So did you mount a big response? Were you like me? I had mild virus. My husband's test was as red as the words on the screen. Mine was just a pink line, so he had way more virus than I had. So there's
Mhm.
several things, and we just think about our immune system as antibodies.
Right.
Remember, we have T cells, we have B cells, we have memory cells. So I knew my antibodies had dropped off well before my 6 months, but my body remembered. So that's the beauty of the body. It remembered that I had had the vaccine.
Yeah.
So it may remember some that you had the natural illness, but not to the extent of what you get when you get the vaccine.
Wow. Oh my goodness. I'm so glad we know that information now. So you guys don't take the risk thinking that just because you went through it, you immune for another 6 months.
Mm-mm.
No, you need to follow up.
Yes, yes, yes. Follow up.
Okay, so the next question, this is what I've been wondering too.
Mm-hmm.
What is in the vaccine?
So in the vaccine, of course, you have all kind of preservatives. The flu shots has eggs. This one doesn't. So if you have egg allergy, you don't have to worry about that. They have natural preservatives to preserve the life of the vaccine. The Pfizer and Moderna, the biggest element of it is the mRNA. So we found this virus in December of 2020, right? By January of 2021, they knew the entire genomic sequence, which is
Wow.
amazing. 1 month
Yeah.
later, everybody's like, well, it's going too fast. Well, science is amazing in that we're able to learn things much faster and much quicker than we
Mhm.
were, when the flu shot came out, 30, 50 years ago, whenever.
Right.
So they knew the entire genomic sequence. They knew all
Mhm.
of the sequence. So from there, they took a method, the mRNA method that they had been using for years, since the 90s, with the Zika vaccine. They had a rabies vaccine that they've been working on, and they started twiddling with that. So really what we're getting is a mRNA sequence which acts on proteins in your cells. So you get
Okay.
the injection. Now, the cell, a lot of people don't realize that, oh, it's going to change my DNA. No, 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 no. DNA is inside of your nucleus. So if this is, find my camera, this is our cell.
Mhm.
Outside, we have the cytoplasm, the fluid. And then inside of there, we have our nucleus. That houses our DNA. Our
Okay.
mRNA, our cytoplasm is all out here. mRNA and DNA, they don't mix. They don't go together. They don't just
Right.
like, hey, let me go see what you're doing in here. No, no, no. The nucleus is safe. That's like our heart. We're going to protect that. You can't come in here, honey. Right? So the
Mhm.
mRNA sequence gets in and it activates the proteins, meshes with our proteins, and it gets out. Our body just says, "Oh, we gone." So, and it's not just kind of lingering. It shows our body what it needs to recognize, and
Mhm.
then from there, it says, "We've done our job." So,
Right.
in that, your body mounts the immune system to say, "All right, now when we see this, let's get our army ready. We're going to get our antigens to come out. Our antigens are going to spike when they see it. Our antibodies are going to fight. Our T cells, our B cells." That's
Mhm.
immunology. That's college master's doctorate level stuff. So when layman's people come out and start talking, you can't talk on that. You can't take a
Right.
meme and use that to say it is so complex, like a whole chalkboard full of stuff. So anyway,
Wow.
essentially you're getting that mRNA sequence, and they're taking that and it's showing your body what to recognize. And so I'm gonna interject a question in here. A lot of times they're like, "But why did it take so? Why was it so quick? I mean, I don't trust it. It was so fast." When
Right.
they say, "Hey, to me, you got $1 billion to do whatever you want to do for your business, and you've been planning on it, you've been working on it. All you needed was the funding. Oh, by the way, we're gonna give you a manufacturer, a place. We're gonna here the workers, train the workers. If
Mhm.
they give you the money, they give you the resources, they say, run, here you go with it. You've already been working on the basis of it for years. You
Right.
know that this works because you tried it. You're trying it in the lab already.
Mhm.
You tried it on animals already. Here we go. We're ready to try this particular one on animals, on labs. Oh,
Mhm.
we're ready to start it on humans now. So the FDA won't approve anything. I'm jumping ahead on a question. FDA won't
Sorry.
approve anything that has not been already tested in the lab, in a tube, tested on
Okay.
animals, that's rats, that's whatever. And then you go through human trials, which you have to do stage 1, stage 2, stage
Mhm.
3. They do so by the time you get it, somebody told me, "Well, I don't want you should make sure your daughter's in one of the first ones." I said, "She not. It's been tested on thousands of kids already. By the
Right.
time it gets to the general public, so just because you're the first person in your city, you're not the first person ever, because by
Right.
this point, thousands and thousands of
Fantastic.
kids have had it, or by the time we got it, so many adults, had it, that it was not something that was new. So that's what's in essentially the mRNA. So if you got Johnson and Johnson, which I don't think a lot of us did, but I want to speak to it. Johnson
Mhm.
and Johnson use uh, basic um, basic methodology like regular vaccines. Vaccines take what's called a vector. And we take a vector and we use the adenovirus, which is the same virus that is, we have the cold virus. So they take a vector and they say, okay, we're going to house whatever we need for you to see COVID-19 inside of this vector, which is a vector is like a cart to move. So you
Okay.
get that, your body recognizes the vector, and then there it is. 2 weeks
Wow.
later, your body mounts the response. So a vector is how we are used to, our bodies are used to seeing it. However, once it came out with those side effects on blood clotting and all of that,
Mhm.
people weren't really big on getting it.
Wow. Yeah, it's been a lot of confusion, like what's actually in the vaccine. I've been seeing misinformation online and scaring
Misinformation,
people.
yes. Make sure you know your sources. Even
Hmm.
though the CDC, people feel like they're full of confusion, once again, we're in a live science project. You know, trust what they say based off of they're in the midst of it. You know, the FDA, the CDC, go to the actual, manufacturer's website, but most people are not going to be able to understand it. And talk to your physician,
Yeah.
talk to your specialist. They know your illnesses, they know what's going on with you, and they can give you the best answer based off of you. That's going to be your best defense. Talk to your doctor and make your recommendation from there.
Okay. Wonderful. I'm glad we got you here for the right information. Because again, I've been seeing so much stuff out there. I'm
Hmm.
like, I know they can't possibly believe this, but
But people
anyway.
will you'll be amazed. People will rather believe that the 5G theories,
Mm,
they changing my DNA theories, all of these
yeah,
things. They rather
I've seen that.
believe all of that than
Hmm.
to, because the science of it is so complex. You have to have had some training. And even I had to go back and review my immunology. I'm like, I don't understand. I don't have any antibodies. It's like, no, your body remembers. Your body will remember
Hmm.
seeing it. Now, will it remember to the extent that it really can get in there and fight and knock it out, or not?
Hmm.
We don't know till we get there and we see it.
All right. Okay, so one more question before we go to break. Will the individual, I think you answered this, but will an individual have to continue the shots for the rest of their life? Is it like the flu, do you think? Or I've heard some reports or I've seen some people come on news and say this might be the last time. So do you
Hmm.
think it's going to be a continual or just one more might do it?
I don't have a true answer on that. And I don't honestly don't think they do either. I think
Right.
that we'll have to see how we continue to do. Like, numbers are improving drastically here. However, we're going into that cold season. People are gonna
Mhm.
do whatever they want to for the holidays
Yeah.
and forget to ask, are you vaccinated? You just assume, you like my husband,
Hmm.
he assumed everybody at that event was vaccinated. So everybody that's educated, everybody that's smart, everybody that's aware is not vaccinated. So
Right.
we don't know. But in the meantime, what we can do is be very vigilant. Continue to wash your hands, continue to social distance, continue to wear your mask. Do all those things to protect you, protect your household, so that you can live a healthy, happy, whole life for a long time.
Right. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so we're going to take a quick 30-second break just to get a little breather and get back to these questions. So, you guys call your friends if you have anyone that needs to know about COVID-19 or the Delta variant. And on the other side of this break, we're going to get into about this newly um, vaccine for the children. Okay, so we'll be right back. All right, we are back. We are back. And if you are just tuning in, you are watching Mindset for Success Show. I'm Tamia Brinson, your host. And our guest today is Dr. Cree, and she is a board certified family medicine physician out of Birmingham, Alabama. But like I stated before, she's really all over. She does interviews, and you see her all over. So, we're here with Dr. Cree, and she's taking our questions from the viewers. And Dr. Cree, let me just talk in this second segment because we had questions about the children's vaccine.
Mhm.
Let me just play this news clip because I want people to know, stuff that I've seen about the vaccine as well. And then we're going to get into the questions.
Okay.
Just minutes after the CDC approved the Pfizer children's vaccine last night, kids were rolling up their sleeves.
I can be back to normal in my classroom.
With doses arriving by the hour, hospitals and clinics nationwide are today in full vaccination mode. At Children's National Hospital in D.C., 8-year-old Carter Giglio with type 1 diabetes was among the first at-risk kids to get the shot, with therapy dog Barney by his side.
Deep breath out.
Since day one of the pandemic, his parents have limited his exposure to other kids.
We do everything we can to protect our kids, but it's been 600 long days, and things can start to come back to normal.
In Houston, Texas Children's Hospital, working through more than 36,000 appointments to vaccinate 5 to 11-year-olds.
It kind of hurted, I guess.
Cameron Emanuel with her mom, Sonja.
Our whole family has been fully vaccinated, and so she was the last one that had not been.
But a recent Kaiser family study found most parents won't immediately get their kids vaccinated, many concerned about potentially unknown side effects.
I let them get vaccinated for all the other things, but this I just don't trust.
But today, the CDC director, herself a mother, insisted this vaccine is among the most thoroughly reviewed ever.
We have thoroughly reviewed all of the available safety, immunogenicity, and efficacy data before recommending this vaccine for your child.
All right, all right. So I just want to ask you, Dr. Cree, like was shown in that clip, because I got this a number of times in the viewer questions. Are the vaccine, this new vaccine, I think it's from age 5 to 11 for children, is that safe? Can we
Yes.
trust the safety of that vaccine?
Yes, just like the CDC director said, anytime they roll anything out for kids, they're going to comb it over with a fine-tooth comb. They know that the kids are the link to our longevity, right? We're not trying to do anything to harm the kids or to cut off the lifeline of the world, kind of thing. So just know that the same that went into working on and doing and approving the adult vaccination, they went through that same process. Now, one side effect that I do want to speak to is myocarditis, which is inflammation of the lining of the heart. So they have seen, they saw that in some adults. I actually know one adult that actually had the side effect to the Pfizer vaccine. And with the kids, they're seeing it more with teenage boys instead of girls. And the treatment is aspirin, and it resolves on its own. So you have to do that whole risk versus benefit thing. Talk to your pediatrician. See if your kid would be most at risk and what your pediatrician recommends. That's the one thing that has slowed down the approval for the children. So they didn't say, well, 10 children had it. So what I will add is myocarditis is a potential side effect of COVID. So 1 in 40 kids can get myocarditis from COVID. And I think it's 1 in 250 or 1 in 1,000 kids can get it from the vaccine. So if you decide not to vaccinate your kids from COVID, and they get COVID, they have a higher chance of getting that side effect that they were watching for the vaccine than they do if you get the vaccine. Of course, they're still going to have aching of the arm, some maybe low-grade fevers, some maybe headaches, just like you had. So you get your kids, and the kids are getting 1/3 of the dose. So for Pfizer, I got Pfizer. My shot was 30 micrograms or 30, whatever the units are. The kids are getting 10. So you get the 10, and then they wait the 3 weeks in between and get their second dose. So I think that we have to remember, we went through the lab, we went through animals, then we went to humans. Humans had to have 4 trials, all of these trials before it gets approval. Any red flags, they stop and look at the red flags. The FDA, I think they unanimously approved it. Then it goes to the Academy of Pediatrics, well, whoever the next step is, they have to approve it. They unanimously approved it. And then the final step is the CDC. And then they approved it. So you're talking about some real smart, people that they have on these panels. So that's 3 different panels that have gone through it. They've read all of the 800 pages, single font with pictures and all of that on there. They've done all of that, and they know what to look for, what red flags. This isn't the first vaccine for kids that they've ever approved. This is what they do. So, and then thousands of kids and thousands, and in the last couple of days, you see, if the trial had 2,000 or 3,000 kids in it, that clip just said 36. They've got 36,000 more appointments. So by the time, so in Alabama, they didn't allow us to start even making appointments here for our pharmacies until August 8th. My kid is going on August 12th. So that gives her 2-3 days for people to get in line before her. But I think that it's important. So she'll be 50% vaccinated by the time Thanksgiving comes. And going to school, I don't understand how it's hard. It's hard for us to wear our mask. I pick her up and her mask is up here. She's 7. And her mask is, I'm like, what are you doing? And she said, Mommy, well, the other kids don't wear their mask. I'm the only one with my mask on,
Wow.
And so she was like, I'm tired. So kids are tired. Just thinking we're tired, they're even more tired. They're not able to do their extracurriculars like they want to without a mask or so I think that especially if your kid has comorbidities, diabetes, if they're overweight, if they have asthma, if they have high blood pressure, make sure you put your kid in that line.
Awesome. Okay, so now you touched on a number of other questions. So now you mentioned one of the side effects surrounded about the heart. That's one of the things that we've been seeing with adults.
Yep.
So that's another question that came from one of the viewers. They said, can you explain the relationship between the vaccine and heart attacks?
Okay. So we have seen that there are some people who have an underlying predisposition to clots. They may not have known that before. They may not have ever known that. They may have sat on the airplane for 10 hours and then all of a sudden got a blood clot. So the people that have gotten the clots in their lungs or have had the heart issues have all been found to have some kind of predisposition to having that. They were going to have one of those episodes. If not now, then when, kind of a thing. So that's kind of been the relationship of it increases your clotting factor a little bit. And if you already were tipping at that tipping point, here we go, we just tipped on over. My mom got her booster yesterday, and so I told her to go ahead and start taking some aspirin for the next few weeks, just in case, because we don't know. So, but that the risk of getting those clots is smaller than your risk for getting a clot if you smoke. It's smaller than the risk of getting a clot if you take birth control. We're not about to stop smoking. We're not about to stop taking our birth control. Okay.
Right.
So why should we, say, I'm not getting it, because that risk you're talking about 0.0002 of a risk, and the risk of getting a clot when you smoke is like 0.2 or something like that. So the numbers are drastic, and you can get clots from everyday things. And the risk of it with the vaccines is minuscule. I know people like, but what if you that one person?
Exactly.
Yes, that's bad if you that one person. However, the risk of it, if it was a lot of risk and something that was happening on a regular basis, they would pull it. They would not continue to let us get it.
So it's very low, and we basically don't need to let that outweigh our decision in not getting a vaccine.
That's true.
Okay. So now you got into another question also, because you mentioned about the mask, and your daughter mask was all over the place by the time she got home. It's the same thing, like you stated before, we have fatigue among the adults as well.
Everybody's tired.
So, yeah. So one of the questions that came from another viewer is, if someone is fully vaccinated, should they also wear a mask as well?
The correct answer is you should wear a mask. I think that you look at the situation that you're in. If you're in a place where everybody's vaccinated, you're like, okay, we had to show proof of vaccine cards to get in here. We had to be negative within 72 hours before getting here. Then you're a little bit more comfortable, but know your environment. But if you're in the middle of the airport and you don't know people and they come from all over the world, you may want to
Right.
say, excuse me, you may want to say, wear your mask, kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, because you made me think about like on the airplane, even people who, are fully vaccinated, you still by, a small percentage can get COVID.
You still can get
So
COVID. Yes,
it still
you
might
still
be a
can
good
get
idea
COVID.
just to wear the mask as well when you're in a
So as
large
time
crowd.
goes on, that's a good point, Tamia. So when
hmm
we first got our vaccine, I think we were like 2 weeks after, close to 90 something percent vaccinated. By the time we got to 3-4 months out, we were 70%. So that's still a good percent. Anything over 50% is probably pretty good. But
hmm
now, especially if you've not been boosted, it's a free fall. COVID is like any minute mighty mo. Who we
Yeah,
gonna get? And you just, the goal is that you have mild disease, you have mild illness is the goal.
right. Okay. So another question from the viewer is after, being fully vaccinated, is there any known effects or side effects to taking a third booster shot that you know of?
So your side effects are just what they would be for shot 1 and 2. Of course, the arm, aching of the arm, the fever, low grade fever. I had my hands hurt, like my joints hurt after I had mine. And
Hmm.
so and then when I had COVID, my hands hurt. So I know
Hmm.
now so my hands ached. So I had joint pain related to it. So with us getting vaccinated real early, so we were in the first batch of people, I had no clue until looking back saying, oh, the vaccine made me sleep for 3 days. Oh, that's
hmm
why I had a headache. So a lot of it you may have to like look back on and say, how was I that week after the vaccine? But as far
Right.
as those are the main ones. And itching. So if you have allergies, you hear I'm sniffing in my and sneezing in the morning, you may want to take a little bit of Zyrtec when you go take your vaccine. Not that
hmm
you're allergic to it, but I itched after my second shot. So I had a little rant. My husband's like, "Oh, you're itching. You're just making it up." I'm like, "I'm not making it up. I'm itching." Kind of thing. So there are some random little things that you could be getting other than just the stereotypical fever, headache, those kind of things. So watch your body, know yourself, so that when something has arrived, you can say, "Yeah, I wasn't having it before." Now my hands and stuff
hmm
don't hurt on average every single day, but I did notice that once I had COVID, my hands hurt again. So I think that was something that was it when my body sees COVID and reacts, I'll have the achiness because it causes inflammation. So that's a side effect of COVID.
Wow. Okay. 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 Now, Dr. Creed, remember I said about misinformation and fear because we got some questions that.
Okay, let's go there.
Okay. So one of is saying, is the booster vaccine really necessary?
It's necessary. I told y'all heard my story from now. Already, if you just logged in, we had COVID in September. That's after being fully vaccinated in January. You need, after you get your booster, you need 2 weeks, just like the other shot, to get it fully into your system. So it's not like, oh, I got it today, tomorrow I'm back fully vaccinated.
Mhm.
So yes, I think the boosters are necessary. Both my parents have already had their booster. My husband's had his booster. I'll be getting my booster, when I can, my waiting period. Yes, the boosters are necessary, especially if you are a high risk population. If you have high blood
Mhm.
pressure, have diabetes, you have heart disease, you have kidney disease. If you don't know that you had any of those things, it might be because you hadn't visited a doctor.
Right.
Go see your primary care doctor at least once a year so that you can know if anything is going on, because we know that
Mhm.
we can feel good and not be looking good on the inside. Get the
Right.
blood work, get your blood
Yes.
pressure checked, get your labs checked. once a year for a couple of hours out of your life, it can save your life, right?
Yes, amen.
So yeah, so just because you feel like, oh, I'm good, I don't have any of that. How about you might have it and not know? You might be at risk for those clots. You might be, and going to the doctor may have been, been able to tell you, yes, you're at risk, you're at risk for this. So be mindful of that. So oftentimes we get our degrees from Facebook, from Google, from Instagram, from memes.com. Leave that
Right.
stuff up to the people who got $300,000 in loans debt
Okay.
in all those years of training, and talk to the experts before we just dismiss a lot of
hmm
things.
Okay. Now here's another one. Okay. So do I really need the vaccine? Is there any situation where you recommend not getting the vaccine? If we wear masks, then why do we need the vaccine?
I don't want to be like China. China is still, I know China been in masks a long time. I don't even know why they in masks now. You know what I'm saying? Like, it may be the smog or fall, it may be that now. But you
hmm
remember when they were like in masks because of H1N1 or something that was real bad, and all the movies was about the China, whatever, was bad over there.
hmm
I don't want to live my life like that. I want to be able to, be in close proximity. I hug every patient that come into my office. Can you imagine how I felt when COVID happened and I couldn't hug them? I
Yeah.
couldn't touch them. I'm just like, we adopted the Wakanda forever when I walked in the room. And I was like, some people, people, elderly, widow people living alone, this has been such an isolating
hmm
thing. People are dying from not being able to have that physical touch. We can't even go to church. A
Right.
lot of places, mega churches have not been able to. My church is just not about to open back up. So, and that was a place of solace. That was a place of connection.
Right.
So I think that the more if we vaccinate ourselves, the world can kind of open up and kind of go back to some semblance of normal, even though I don't think we'll ever be back to normal. But I don't want to be China normal, right? I don't want to be
Right.
China normal. I want to be like somewhere in between China and COVID and 2019. Where we're aware, where we're washing our
hmm
hands more, where we're distancing, where we're thinking about each other's health. We're thinking about our own health. But I don't want to be in that place forever. So you have to make that choice. If you good with wearing your mask from now till eternity and assuming that everybody you're around has COVID, everybody's got COVID unless they can prove me otherwise, especially
Yeah.
if they're not vaccinated.
Well, I'm glad they asked that because it is a fear out there, and I was surprised to see, especially in our culture, our community, to take in all of that misinformation. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
like, it's gonna mess up my DNA, and I might not be able to have kids later. And I'd rather just wash my hands and wear the mask because it's gonna change everything. I might not even be able to have kids. And I'm sitting up there like, "You believe that?"
Mm-mm. Yes, no, the Academy of OBGYN, the Academy of Fertility, all of those academies have said it is safe to take during pregnancy. It is safe to take while you're trying to conceive. It is
Mhm.
safe to take while you're on with fertility. So when you have those questions, go to the academies. Academy of Cardiology. Let's see
Right.
what they're talking about with clots. There is always a summary at the beginning of the medical journals. It should be watered down enough that you can see. And then if you don't know, print that out and take it to your doctor. So can you help me
Mhm.
understand this? Because I think it says this, and the doctor's like, oh no, girl, don't say that. So make sure that we have a village, a tribe that can help us to understand and interpret what we need.
Mhm. So, and you touched on that, just to clarify, it is okay for unborn, like if you're pregnant.
Mhm. Yes, it is okay to get the vaccine if you are pregnant, if you're trying to conceive. They are not saying wait to any particular trimester. They're saying get the vaccine. And that comes
Okay.
from the Alabama College, not Alabama, the Academy of OBGYN or whatever their official academy is.
Okay. And this one, another question. This one touched on, I believe this was asked before about people who have like a low immunity and it's not recommended that they take the vaccine.
Yes.
Is there anything that they can do, for example, like supplements?
Mhm.
Um,
Yep. You
like, for
always can
example,
take
when
your
I went to my
supplements.
doctor,
Oh, go
I
ahead.
had
I'm
my
sorry.
D level checked and it
Mhm.
was low, even though I do take supplements. So,
Mhm. You may not have been taking enough.
yeah.
And then we're not getting the sunlight. Like, there are natural ways to get our vitamin D in as well. Now the days are about to get shorter, and we're gonna get sadder because I live off the sun, and now I'm like, I need the sun. So your vitamin D levels, of course, are gonna drop during this season.
Okay.
However, vitamin C, vitamin D, your zinc, your zinc, your vitamin D, vitamin C, those are the main ones that you need to be taking. So take those. You can take those vitamins whether you've had COVID or not. We still take them on a regular basis because they were recommended. And of course, like she said, I have Breathing Balance by Dr. Cree. If you're looking for a good supplement line, we've gone through the process of making sure we have good, clean, healthy supplements or whatever. And I'm a firm believer that you can have natural medicine and conventional medicine can join and can be friends.
Yeah.
Like, I don't believe we just have to be all the way over here and not take what your
Mhm.
MD or DO says, or we have to be all the way over here and only do that. There is a happy medium, and it's okay to
Mhm.
do, as long as you're letting somebody look at your supplements and you're not out there saying, I just Googled and it said to take all these, because some of them can interact with each other. Some of them can
Right.
have some negative impacts. So when you go to your doctor, take your supplements with you.
Yeah.
Oftentimes people just tell of the prescriptions that they own. I'm like, why are these numbers so crazy? Why is your calcium high? Oh, I take Who told you to take calcium? Oh, I just thought I needed calcium because I was 50. Stop taking the calcium,
Oh,
because you
good.
could save yourself a lot of money in a big workup thinking you got some kind of cancer or you got something bad, because
Mhm.
these levels are through the roof when they're high because you're taking them. So take
Yeah.
your vitamins to the doctor with you as well, and then they can run an interaction with your prescription medicine to make sure they're not interfering.
Wow, awesome, awesome. See, that's why I like you because I had a situation, I'm not going to share it fully, but I had a
Mhm.
situation where I went to the doctor, had everything checked, and they prescribed a medication for me.
Mhm.
And I was discussing with my dad, and because we have it came down the bloodline. But
Mhm.
anyway, we
Mhm.
got the
That's
same
how it is.
condition. And he was like, "You mean they didn't discuss nutrition with you? And ask them about this, ask them about zinc and copper." And I was like, "No, she was straight medicine."
She was straight medicine.
So that's
Exactly.
what I appreciate about you
Mhm.
because I don't have to pull it out of you and ask them, "But what about this stuff? What about that?" Like I
Mm-mm.
have to do that with my daughter, and I like her, so I'm gonna stick with her
Yeah,
because
stick
she is
with her.
responsive to me when I ask her those questions. But
Mhm.
you come right with the medicine and the supplement or
Yeah.
whatever. So
Mhm.
I
So that's
love that
important.
about you.
I think that it's good to know that sometimes if it's bad enough, whatever we dealing with. So sometimes if I've had people come in, their blood pressure might be 200 over 100. And they're like, but I really want to take this magnesium. I'm like, if you don't put that magnesium down and take this amlodipine and whatever I give you, but I'm like, when you come back in a month, if our numbers are coming down, we can add you on some magnesium. So it may have
Okay.
been where you were in your journey, that you needed to. She's like, okay, we need to address this and attack it now. And once
Mhm.
numbers are more controlled, we can add those supplements in and maybe be able to come off of some of your prescription medicine. And nutrition is always at the basis of what we got going on. We're in this
Mhm.
sweet tea capital of the world. You know what I'm saying? I love
Yeah.
my sweet tea. So I'm like, hey, what you drinking? You're not drinking in the water. Okay, you just like tea and cop. That is not the Lord's will for your life, baby. You got to be doing better. So you have to, as a doctor, we have to get a little bit down and really ask the right questions,
Right.
but also saying if it's bad enough, do what they say and say, all right, in a month, if I'm doing some better, I want to talk about some other alternatives that we can do together. So I think that it has its place, but sometimes you like, let's get this down. Well, we know I can get it down and keep you out of the
Mm-hmm.
hospital, and then
Right.
we'll bridge that. We'll add that bridge in there.
Awesome. Awesome. I love it. I love it. Okay, we got one last. We actually made it through these questions, Lord Jesus. Thank
Good.
you.
I was
Okay, so
trying
this,
to answer more than one at a time, like, because I had gone through them. So I was trying to, get them in there.
yeah, you did. You did. And we got this last question, but before we do, let me just tell you, afterwards, when we wrap it up, anything you want to pitch or anything you're working on, any kind of projects, anything you want to announce, I'm gonna give you space to do that at the end.
All right. Thank you.
So this one last question says, I was diagnosed positive a couple months ago. I
Okay.
had the Pfizer vaccine, both injections in March,
Mhm,
and my symptoms were not suspected and
mhm,
thought I had a severe case of sinusitis or
mhm,
sinuses. And the
mhm.
same day she got tested and she was directed and immediately took the monoclonal, can't say that word,
The monoclonal
monoclonal
antibodies. Okay.
antibody via injections. And she lost her sense of taste and sense of smell. And after 2.5 months, it came back. So
Mhm.
her question is, how long um, is that supposed to last? I guess you're saying the
Oh, the
loss of
nest,
taste and smell,
taste and smell.
because I
Hmm.
guess you think the 2.5 months was long. And she
Hmm.
said, how long to expect it? And is that normal?
So yes, I know some people who had COVID last March and still have just only a small sense of their smell and taste, smell at least back. So
Okay.
I think it really depends on your viral load and how big of a virus that that you have. And then where was the virus really contained? So you can have COVID, you can just have diarrhea. It could be just that kind of a virus. It can
Mhm.
be all up here. I suggest that my patients who have had COVID and have had problems with sense of smell to start using Flonase. Now you get this
Okay.
approved with your doctor. You can use Flonase 1 to 2 times a day. It's an over-the-counter nose spray,
Mhm.
and they have found that in using it twice a day, it helps to bring the sense of smell back. You also can
Wow.
do increase your zinc, but make sure you talk to your doctor about that, and that can help
Okay.
with your sense of taste and smell. Also, with time, you are considered, if it's been 2 3 months and you still are having it, you're considered to be a long hauler. So when people think of
Mhm.
long haulers and COVID, they think of shortness of breath. I'm on oxygen, my kids are failing, but it could be still having headaches. It could be still, I can't smell. I still can't taste.
Yeah.
Those are all some long hauler cold
Mm.
symptoms. And people get those long hauler symptoms and you never know when they're gonna come back. You never know when you just never know. So I would suggest looking into the Flonase if you're not already doing that, talking to your doctor about that and how much zinc can you add to your diet in safely. But you talk to your physician about that. So we don't know
Okay.
when your taste and smell will come back. That is the I suspect that you must have a heavy viral load, even though you've done really well because you had the antibodies and you had the vaccine. We still can have those long symptoms even with the treatment. So
Mhm.
I'm hoping, I wish you speedy recovery, that it continues to get better.
Yes.
But it's just gonna take some time.
Wow, wow. Yeah, that's amazing. Well, I guess she was the only one to ask that question about the
Hmm.
long haulers. What is the
Yes.
reason for that? Like, I know it's a small percentage, but I never heard of that. Like, I saw a
Hmm.
news, just saw it on CNN where this lady was out of work for like a year.
Yep. I got several patients like that you're just like, and they were working and doing all these things, and brain fog never went away, or headaches never went away. And I'm like, I don't know what I mean. We're at a loss at what to do for, go see the
Hmm.
specialist, go, and they're like bagged up for months on end. But long haulers is a thing, and that's one of the reasons for the people who are on the fence. Get
Hmm.
vaccinated so you can have the mild disease, so you won't have bad long haulers.
Yeah.
The horrible fatigue. Like, yeah, it sucks that you can't taste or smell as much, But imagine if that was, now I'm on oxygen, now I'm on dialysis.
Mhm.
You know, now I can't remember a thing because COVID attacked all those parts of me. So your long
Wow.
haulers can be mild or it can be severe.
Oh my goodness. Ooh, so we're gonna have to pray. Not only
Mm-hmm.
take care of our health, but pray. Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Enjoy.
so Flonase and zinc. Talk to your doctor, but if you have loss of taste and smell, Flonase and zinc, and consult with your physician though first.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Wonderful. So, Dr. Cree, I am so glad you came back. I'm
Yes,
definitely sure you helped some lives. You saved some lives today,
I'm
okay?
hoping so.
So at this time,
I'm hoping so. Thank you.
we're gonna wrap it up. And let me just ask you, you have anything you want to announce, any kind of projects you're working on, anything that's going on with you? You have the floor.
Yes. Yes. So I'm excited to announce, since I saw you last, I have been tapped by the city of Birmingham to take care of the city of Birmingham employees. So if you live in the city of Birmingham and you work for the city, that's anything for the city, then you could come to my office, Brownstone, and you can come at $0 copayment. We worked on this project for several years, so I'm excited that it's here. So Brownstone is the place for the city of Birmingham employees to come to get their care. It is $0 copayments for them, for their spouses, for their children, as long as they're on the city's insurance, for the retirees, as well as for the Vista volunteers. So that's my big announcement. God is so good to open up that space. We have two different locations that they can come to. One is at 1700 Fifth Avenue North, downtown Birmingham, and the other one is in Trustful, 4643 Camp Coleman Road. If you're interested in supplements, you can go to www.brownstonehealthcare.com. You can learn more about the clinic there, and you can also go to shop, or you'll see supplements somewhere in there, and I have hundreds of supplements there. So, and lastly, follow me on social media. I'm at Dr. Cree, DoctorKre. My main two places are Instagram and Facebook. My Instagram is fun. It shows that I have a lot of fun in my life. And then I do all my teaching on Facebook. But thank you. I look forward to seeing you guys. If y'all need anything of me, let me know. I do go all over the world speaking. So if y'all need somebody to talk on your health summits, I'm your girl. Thank you.
Amen. Amen. I'm telling y'all, follow her, Dr. Cree. I'm telling you, she is boss. Okay.
Yes,
Let me tell you, I follow her on Facebook, and I just picked her up on Instagram, and she is boss for
we have
real.
a good time, honey.
Yeah.
This, especially during these 90 days while I can turn up, and come December 2nd, I'll be back a hermit crab.
Oh my goodness. But I just want to tell you, I respect you so much because you are active in your community. And I'm so glad to hear that you just picked up this project with the city of Birmingham. So I'm
Yes.
like, oh my God, you was already doing enough.
Yes,
So I
exactly.
just thank God, and I just let you know that I'm praying for you. God
Yes,
bless
please
you,
do.
and may you prosper in everything that you do,
Yes,
because
thank you.
you're
I
really
receive
doing the
that.
Lord's work, okay?
Yes, that's the goal, to keep doing it.
Amen. Amen. Okay, so you guys be blessed, and remember, we're here every Saturdays at 10 a.m. We're out early because I wanted to
Thank
get the
you.
doctor in, okay? So we're here every Saturdays at 10 a.m. on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. And then also you can catch the rerun on Kingdom Purpose TV. If you have Roku or Apple TV or Amazon Fire Stick, you can pull it up on Kingdom Purpose TV and watch us on Monday nights at 9 p.m. That's will be reran on the shows there. So you guys go ahead and pull us up, and you can watch this over and over and get all the information you need. Okay. So until next week, you guys be blessed.
You have the mindset for success. If you're looking for positivity,